A very good morning to you. Welcome to the morning brief right here on Channels Television. Today's what, 14 days, right?
Yeah.
Oh, just now. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. I just wanted to be sure that I know what's going on in the world. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's one big house. Look who's back. Good morning. Welcome to your perfect morning starter right here on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka.
Always great to be back, like you never left. Yes, 14 days already in January. Yeah, welcome to the show. I'm Kayode Okikere.
So we understand that the Edo State governor has actually called for the release of persons who are not involved in the looting and destruction of what happened in Ekboma. We understand that the students were particularly angry about the quote-unquote inaction of the government and the traditional institution to speak up and speak against power or hold power to account. So in their anger, which is not supported in any shape or form, they went on that protest, and that massive protest led to being hijacked to literally a riot. And I think the traditional ruler's palace, as well as other places, were touched. Things were stolen by some elements who are mischievous in this whole situation. That should not be supported in any shape or form. Well, we saw videos yesterday or 2 days ago of the parents at the police station. I'm particularly happy that they were not treated roughly, because I saw when they were taking them into the vehicle, I don't know whether that was a point of arrest or whether it was when they were at the police station. But you can see the guys here who have been arrested, the young men who were arrested, were alleged to be suspected looters, or who maybe stole one or two things or destroyed one or two things. But the governor said, you know, it's mass arrest. So whatever had happened, those that are not guilty of turning a peaceful protest into a riot should be freed. But the governor has gotten a lot of backlash. The government has gotten a lot of backlash. The government has also said, I did talk with Afegbo, the Commissioner for Information, talking about the efforts of government to curb this insecurity, but it seemed not to be enough. So the people are angry. In fact, the reason I heard they attacked the traditional ruler's palace, which is not acceptable by any shape or form, is that they feel that the traditional ruler is not active enough to speak for the people under his domain. So that's why, you know, it was attacked. But that is not acceptable. So, but at the end of the day, guys, is government waking up to its responsibility. I heard the governor talking about the fact that the operations he saw about one guy that was abducted doesn't really look like how the herders operate. I don't know how he knows how they operate anyway. But more importantly is to the effect that the people that are in the bushes, whether they're herders or whoever they are, that are getting into these bushes, staying in those bushes and coming out to foment trouble, kidnap people, kill people, those are the people the government should target first. And then whoever is a criminal element that collaborates with them in the community. But the nuances seem to be more of the people, the elements. So I think that narrative should change. This is not time to be politically correct. I have said Nigeria would change the day elected officials forget for a moment that they want to seek re-election. But we commend the governor for speaking out to say he's going to do the right thing, and we're going to follow through to the end.
And, you know, this is good to note that the students have been released following intervention. We understand that there have been condemnation of the arrest of the students because of reports that some of the students, I'm not quite sure, the number out of the 52 that were reportedly arrested were arrested from their hostels and did not participate in the protests. Well, that should be determined in line with investigations. But if that were true, then it all makes the process and the entire event all the more unwholesome and unbecoming of what should be the management of the protests in Ekpoma. Because at the center of this is also the sanctity of the right to protest, which is guaranteed in the Constitution. And why have the students reportedly protested? of course, we all know the huge concern that cannot be ignored of insecurity in Ekpoma in Edo State. In the last couple of days prior to the arrest of the students, we had heard huge concerns expressed about constant kidnappings and videos also supporting reports of people being kidnapped right in front of their homes. And so if that is the reason that has elicited the agitation from students in Ekpoma community, which also happens to be, a university community, then, as we rightly pointed out yesterday, the management of the protest would also be significant, and to either erode the already diminishing trust in government and, its relationship with the elected, or it would go ahead to sort of ensure that the people, the elected, have, some form of, however little, confidence in the government. And so this is, comforting to see that the students have been released. Now, Jeffrey, as you have said, we must also see, matching this effort, security agents going after the kidnappers and those fomenting trouble in Edo State, those who are not allowing the students and indeed the entire Edo, not even Ekpoma alone now, because we can't forget in a hurry Uromi, the entire Edo State now, those who are not allowing people go to their farms, go to bed at night with their two eyes closed. We want to see the security agents go right ahead into their enclaves and arresting them, prosecuting them, and ensuring that justice is done. Just as we have seen, the ease with which these students were arrested, we hope that the security agents can match that zeal for the arrest of the criminal elements as well. Coyote.
And speaking of the criminal elements, guys, that's been the question that people have asked. Can we get this sorted once and for all? Arrest these people, arraign them, ensure justice is done. But listening to the governor, who has said that, well, the people who are carrying out these kidnappings are not operating like Fulani. He said, in fact, he believes that they are politically motivated, that these are political attacks and all of that. So that sort of leaves a very tricky situation on our hands, really, because for a lot of these people, they can bet it that these are herdsmen. But the governor is saying, no, they're not herdsmen, that this is political. In fact, he went on to say that this happened, and then we saw the protest, which he described as sentimental. He visited the Poa market where there was destruction and all of that. But one thing is clear, the people need and deserve security. That is clear. And the government must provide that. Yes, it's important to also unveil who these attackers are. And I think that's where the gap is between the government and the people. The people clearly believe what they believe. The government believes what it believes. And it's almost very unbelievable, because you expect that the government and the people would have at least a common ground. The government gets information from the people, intelligence and security agencies. So it's almost like they're living in different realities. And that is a recipe for chaos, clearly, if the people are heading one way and the government is heading another. For a lot of these people, they think and believe strongly that the politics of 2027 is also at play here. And that's why the governor says these are not Fulanese, but political attacks. Whatever the case is, there must be security in Edo State, and I think it's not too much to ask for. And I must mention on the side, when those students were released and the Commissioner for Education was speaking, you could see some of them visibly still angry. You could see in their eyes, a lot of them were still angry that, you know what, it doesn't look like this is over. So the Edo State governor and government, they have to be very careful. You can see in those guys' eyes.
Because, the sentiment would be, this is not what we asked for. It's a case of the hunters now becoming the hunted, and they wonder what government is doing and if government has their acts together in the first place, if they cannot approach, the crime in the same manner as they have been arrested. And that's the point that we should continue to emphasize.
Yeah, we can't take away the fact that there may be one or two criminal elements amongst them, but it looks like the majority of these students are just doing what they have to do. Just saying, look, government, enough is enough. I'm just uncomfortable with the narrative of the governor, or what his body language seemed to be speaking. Oh, it's sponsored from abroad, all of that. I have always said to governors and all of that, sabotage is what you always have to prepare for if that you want to be a leader. There are people that would want to sabotage you. But as Kayode Amukola said, the people in the forest, I've not heard the government say anything about those people in the forest. What are you doing? We had a ceremony, what was that gentleman's name? We had 2 days ago. Yes, 2 days ago we had a gentleman who leads an association in Esan land. And he was talking, he was very clear. And the spokesperson of the governor was here. The guy was clear. He said, look, these people are in the forest. Yes, some of them may not be criminals, but we know that some of them are criminals who are coming in to perpetrate trouble, kill people or kidnap people, whatever it is alleging that they did. We want to hear clearly what is the government doing about those ones. And in collaboration with the ones that are in the town, joining them to cause this trouble. Not just from abroad and all of this. Come on, guys. Get the job done. The people want to be safe. I don't think anybody wants a non-peaceful environment. We all want to live in a peaceful environment. Even the government itself has said that, look, when there's violence and all of these things, investors will not come near the place. So the signaling, the messaging, the Edo State government, Senator Mondo Pabala has to rise up to the occasion to lead these people. Because let me tell you, Your Excellency, the signaling in the last, say, 3 weeks or 1 month plus is not really good coming from Edo State. I'll give you 3 instances. For whatever political disagreement you guys have, a gentleman was slapped in the UK. When he came down to Benin, some people, maybe associated with the government, were even rewarding him, thanking him for slapping the person. Not too long, Don Pedro Basaki, whatever he said, the palace has said we didn't send anyone. But anyway, the guy was carried literally almost stripped naked, and now this. The signaling of an unsafe environment coming from Edo is not good. Edo people are not like that. So the government has to do a lot to reverse that signaling, and that way, the only way you can do that is to nip it in the bud. If there are criminal elements in the bush, go after them, not just arresting students.
Simple as that. If they're not Fulani, who are they? If they're politically motivated, who are they? Let the people know. But there you have it, guys. Quite a lot on our plate this morning. And here's a look at what the show looks like. Yes, I will be giving you information from across the state, but the matter still hogging the headlines, still leaving a very bitter taste in the mouth of Nigerians, both home and abroad, is our first port of call this morning as Chimamanda Adichie looks to get justice for the death of her son due to alleged medical negligence. So we take a look at the issue from the legal perspective. There are different angles to this. There's the grieving family, there is the medical angle, there is also the legal perspective and how to best handle this to ensure we get the best outcome for the grieving family, for the medical sector in Nigeria and beyond.
Well, that's not all. What's the state of relations between governors, well, the governor of Abia State and former governor of Abia State and Senator Orji Uzor Kalu? So politics is also in our line of vision. And so if you're an Abian or if you're someone who has resided in the southeast, you may be very interested in this one as we look comparatively at the comments coming through from the Senator and former governor of Abia State, Orji Uzor Kalu, about the management of funds allocated to the Abia State government. So come tell us who exactly is on the right moral pedestal on this particular one. And it looks like it's going to be a very interesting discussion. As
it's going to be
always is in politics, right?
Interesting. An association of former governors against the current governor. But hey, we'll move from there. So sports, one of my favorite things in the world, especially when it has to do with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Tonight, we go again. Well, it's not the Abia State governor that will be in the field, but the Super Eagles of Nigeria against the host nation, Morocco, tonight. So we're going to expatiate, talk, analyze, forecast, look at all the elements as much as possible today. Can we do it again like we did it against Algeria and find ourselves in the finals? They call it back-to-back. And maybe this time we will come on with the trophy since we can't head to the Americas, except Bukola's belief of a backdoor eventually works out. But hey, it's going to be fun.
I can bet you a lot of Nigerians believe that something can still happen. In fact, the NSC chairman, Sheodiko, has been speaking not once, even after he was in our show, he still spoke about it. But for now, we focus on the AFCON semi-final.
And I hear some saying that if we win the AFCON, then it's an automatic ticket to Canada and the United States. I don't know how that true is, guys. You guys have to put me...
No, that's not true.
That's not true yet.
That's not true yet.
But, you know, never say never.
Never say never.
Never
right?
say never.
Okay. All right, so we'll take a moment, and when we return, it'll be time to look at what the papers are saying, and our guest joins us in a moment. Join us again. Welcome back, and so let's head right into the papers, and our guest joins us today, Mr. Igo Akiria, member, Nigeria Guild of Editors. Mr. Akiria, welcome to the program.
Yeah, Bukola, good morning, Jeffrey, and my brother there. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure joining you in the morning.
All right. Maybe before we head into the serious issues, well, it's not as if sports is not serious, but you know, it's something that bands us together, and there's a lot of excitement in the air, courtesy Nigeria's Super Eagles. So let's get to feel your own pulse as well ahead of that crucial match with Morocco.
Well, I think everyone is upbeat. The country is tensed up a bit because don't forget Morocco is the host country, and with Hakima, or was that their top player that you know they are relying on. And of course, I was also listening to their coach yesterday, who was boasting. You know, don't forget the Algerian coach also boasted that they were going to take the Super Eagles to the cleaners. In fact, one of their top players did say that they are going to send the Super Eagles to Sambisa Forest after the defeat. But at the end of 90 minutes and extra time, it became clear who the champion really is and who will be going to Sambisa Forest. Even though they are the desert warriors, you know, they are supposed to then go to Sambisa Forest. So Nigeria was able to acquit herself very well. The Super Eagles have become, you know, a force to be reckoned with. But with over 66,000 Moroccan fans that is going to be that stadium today at 9 p.m., well, I just hope that the Super Eagles will be able to withstand the crowd pressure. But many of the Super Eagles players, you know, they play under pressure. Many of them are in Europe, so I'm sure they are familiar with that climate of pressure when you have to play against a host that has, you know, voices, you know, from everywhere, you know, ramming down. Well, I wish the Super Eagles good luck today. So far, Nigerians have been very, very proud of them. Rochelle has done very well. The Super Eagles coach has done very, very well. Nobody gave him a chance. He has proved himself. And I heard that is it DRC Congo, or one of these countries now, offering him double what Nigeria is paying him as monthly salary. But he has remained faithful to Nigeria and the Super Eagles. And many Nigerians are rallying behind the coach and their team this morning. I'm one of the biggest supporters of the Super Eagles. Each time I watch foreign, like particularly the Premiership, where you see Nigerian youths rooting for, you know, top Premiership club. I always tell them that I'm not loyal to any Premiership club. I'm only loyal to Nigerian clubs, particularly, Nigerian teams, particularly the Super Eagles. And today is a big day for us. Beyond prayers, I think we just have to support the Super Eagles. We wish them well, and at the end of the match today, I hope we all celebrate as Nigerians.
All right. That's the spirit. So let's go right ahead to Morocco and paint the fields green with green goals in a few hours. Let's begin with this Nigerian newspapers, and what's on the headline is really very concerning. Tax reforms. FG's consultant Oyedele, that would be the chairman, Committee on Tax Reforms Committee, alleges death threat. Tax issue worsened by Nigerians, low public trust in government, and limited visibility of how public revenues are utilized. Mr. Akiria, is the public understanding, the low public understanding, worse than the promise of the, increased revenue and transformation of our tax system? Which trumps the other in this case now?
Well, I have issues with the tax reform. For me, ordinarily, there should have been nothing wrong with the federal government introducing the four tax reforms at this time. But the issue here is, Nigeria is just reeling from multi-dimensional poverty. And 2 years ago, when Mr. President declared that subsidy was gone, and of course floated the naira, we saw the multiple impact that it had on the economy, and it further sent the economy reeling. So that of course exposed most Nigerians to economic hardship. As we speak, the unemployment situation is quite high. Inflation is not doing very well. Inflation is still hovering around 39–42%, which is very, very high. And of course, the purchasing power of Nigerians, we are talking about monthly salary. The federal government has pegged it at 70,000 naira a month. Even at that, many firms are not paying. Some state governments are not also paying the 70,000 naira. Even if it is paid, what is the comparison? What is the exchange rate of 70,000 naira to the dollar? The last time I checked, many countries, even francophone countries around us, including Ghana, their currencies are doing very, very well. Nigeria is doing about 1,430 naira to a dollar. Ghana is doing about 10.5 cedis to the dollar, and francophone countries are doing less than 100 CFA and so to the dollar. So what is happening to our currency? I think the government should focus on that. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is reputed to be a great manager of the economy, particularly in Lagos. That was the credentials he brought to Abuja. We want to see that resonate. We want to see the results of that. People are not happy. I think this is not the appropriate time to execute that tax reform. Oyedele is doing so well. Another issue is the president is Yoruba, Oyedele is Yoruba, and so a lot of people are suspicious that the president is simply getting one of his talk to come and try and persuade Nigerians to believe or to buy into the tax reform. But if you look at the prevailing condition, the prevailing economic condition that is impacting on the lives of Nigerians, I think this is not the right time. Most voices, most people have spoken. In fact, corporate organizations have also spoken. Civil society organizations have asked the federal government to suspend the tax reform until such a time that the economic lives of Nigerians improve. I think that should be the focus at this point, rather than insisting that it must take effect. And really, it has taken effect. If you look at transactions, at the end of the month, if you look at your salary, you see what is happening to it. So it has taken effect, and I think many people are not happy with what's going on. Given the backdrop of the issues of accountability and transparency, first subsidy is gone. The government is not telling Nigerians what has happened to the accruing funds as a result of the cancellation of subsidy. And of course, electricity tariff, Nigerians are paying more. So what is happening to all the funds that are coming in? I understand, the states are getting more funds, but why the states are getting funds, federal government still get 52% of FAC allocation. But if you look at the roads across the country, not all the roads are doing well. Yes, the president is doing his best, but I think his best needs to improve. This is election year. Nigerians are going to measure the president's performance against what they see every day, their daily lives. So that is also why people are saying that votes should count in 2027 election.
Well, clearly, Interesting times ahead, but it's interesting how you weaved all of these issues together. You know, when it comes to the nationality of the president and Mr. Taiwo Yedele, as much as he has federal character, must be followed through and through, understanding who we are as a nation, the ethnic diversities. You know, a lot of people use that ethnicity when it's convenient. Take Eric Schell as an example now. His nationality is French, even though he has ties Mali and Ivory Coast. A lot of times when people hear France, 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 it raises a red flag. But for football, nobody's saying anything because Eric Schell is getting us all of the results. So I think it's quite convenient for people to use nationality now because it's an issue of controversy. But really, at what point will we go beyond all of these, you know, sentiments and really talk about the work? But let's look at the next paper, which is New Telegraph. It has a very interesting big story on counterterrorism. U.S. delivers military supplies to Nigeria as bandits kill ex-House of Assembly candidate and 4 others in Benue. So this is a mixed bag, really. It's what looks like good news for security and then very bad news for security as well, pages 4 and 29. But the other big question is, what is in this military supply package to Nigeria? It's not quite clear. And seeing the aircraft and how it was being offloaded, you begin to wonder, are these military fatigue uniform? Is it military? I mean, what is it? How will it improve security in that sense? But Mr. Akaria, how are you internalizing these two extremes?
Yeah, Kayode, I saw the visuals yesterday. Well, that immediately invokes some excitement in me. At least the U.S. is cooperating. We are no longer under pressure that America is coming to invade Nigeria, is going to take over the anti-terrorism war, you know, from the federal government. Now, this point has to be made. Our armed forces, the armed forces of Nigeria, AFN, is one of the strongest military in Africa. It's a regional force, it's a power, you know. But what is befuddling is why has the armed forces of Nigeria been unable to deal with you know, this terrorism? Initially, I remember the last administration, Mohammed, who was the Minister of Information, keep hammering on the fact that it's an asymmetric warfare. You know, you don't know who you are fighting and all of that. But now it is clear. We know where these people are. We know their locations with advancement in military technology, drones and all of that, and, you know, intelligence, you know, that is gathered from ISRO platform, that is intelligence and reconnaissance aircraft, where people are able to know the specific location. But why are we unable to crush these terrorists whom we know their locations, you know, across the country? The report is just read, Benue is almost becoming a killing field. And of course, Sokoto, the east of Sokoto, where Bello Toji, the notorious terrorist leader, you know, is giving notice to communities to quit, and people are fleeing from, you know, those communities to safer areas and the urban areas. In a country where we have, you know, a government, I think this should be the focus of the federal government. President Bola Tinubu clearly is doing well. He has appointed, he has changed the service chiefs. He has reappointed, you know, Christopher Musa, who was former CDS, is now Minister of Defense. A whole lot of that. But Nigerians want to see how that translates to, you know, to visible results on the ground. You know, people can't move from one place to the other. They are not safe, and communities are being displaced. People are being killed every day. So the military supplies from the US, maybe for security and strategic reasons, they don't want to disclose what is in those packages. But at the end of the day, let those packages that is supplied to the military translate to visible results that, you know, these terrorists are being decimated, they are being crushed, you know. And the Katsina state government talking about granting amnesty or releasing 70 of these suspected terrorists who are in prison, that you're going to release them. It's also generating a whole lot of, you know, public friction. I do not think this is the time to be talking about releasing people who were caught in the act of committing heinous crimes against the state. So all of the issues, religion is playing some some role in this. Ethnicity is playing some role. All kinds of considerations are coming in. People are becoming empathizing with people who are killing people, who have taken up terrorism as a career. That is not the path to go. And for the country, Nigeria is bleeding at the moment. Politicians are talking about the election and how they will return to office in 2027. The focus really is how we can stabilize the security situation in the country, how we can improve the economic life of Nigerians and citizens, how citizens can sleep with their two eyes closed. That is where we are as a country, really. And these are very basic and fundamental issues that stares all of us in the face. And I think the work for the government is cut out. These issues have to be dealt with very clearly, and not just systematically. There should be transparency and accountability in the war against terrorism. I also need to make the point this morning. If you look at the Department of State Services and the new leadership of the DSS, I think most Nigerians are impressed with what the DSS is doing. The leadership of DSS is doing a great job. The leadership of the Air Force, Army and Navy, yes, they are working so hard. The point where we are now is to integrate community security forces. The Vigilante Group of Nigeria is there. We have the hunters and all. It is time to properly arm these people, and flush people out of the forest and bushes. Earlier in your while you guys were analyzing, the news across the nation, those states, there are people in the forest, in the bushes. This is not about papering the issue. What is anybody doing in the bushes and forests? It's only farmers that go to the bushes to farm. When you farm, you return home. But people cannot take the bush, take the forest, and domicile there, build their house, and start terrorizing terrorizing law-abiding citizens. Anybody who is living in the forest, who has taken the forest as an abode, must leave the forest or be taken out. That is it. Must be, must be asphyxiated, must be wiped out. We can't have people living in our forest. You leave the forest, you block the road, kidnap people, move them to your camps, and then you hide under. Whether you are a pastoralist or whatever they call themselves. We have a security situation, we have to deal with it very squarely. That's where we are.
Yeah, Mr. Akarega, a lot of mixed messaging. On one hand, we can see the efforts of our security agencies. We've seen the American Army do what they did in Sokoto, yet we're seeing bandits being released in exchange for hostages, about 1,000 hostages, according to the government. And then your government will also come out and say they don't negotiate with terrorists. So there's a lot of mixed messaging. Perhaps the aircraft and the military gadgets you saw, which we may not know what is the content, is also part of the messaging that the United States may be walking back on what they wanted to do. So there's a collaboration. We understand, according to one of the dailies, there's lobbying going on, almost to the tune of $10 million. So there's a lot going on. There are so many moving parts. But as you said, the most important thing is to make sure our lives are secured and to make sure our monies are utilized judiciously and for the right reasons. And that's why in the Southeast, Guardian is leading this time with an intersection between security in the region and the fiscal plan of the governments of that region. Lingering sit-at-home disruption may hurt Southeast 5.7 trillion naira fiscal plan. So that may be the summation of the entirety of the budgets of the 5 states in the area. But there are people that are saying that, look, the sit-at-home may have, tapered, but it's still out there. And then the leaders are busy politicking, and that the focus should be the security of the region. What do you make of this headline, by the way?
Well, the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, is in prison in Sokoto now. And I think even before Nnamdi Kanu was sent to prison, the situation in the Southeast was already thawing, was beginning to, to recede. It is left for the political leaders in the Southeast. We have, apart from, the governors of the South, we have the Pan-Igbo group, Ohanes and Igbo. They have a whole lot of work to do to sensitize their people, to educate the Igbo nation on the need to maintain peace. I've always argued, it is my opinion that Nigeria as a country needs the Igbo more than they need Nigeria. That's the truth, because the epicenter of whether commerce, industrial activities, productive, epicenter is in the Southeast. So, and even if you talk about pharmaceuticals, so sometimes I wonder if if the Igbos who are fighting for Biafra, if they are allowed to go, what will happen to the rest of Nigeria? So that the Southeast is like the Taiwan of Nigeria, where a lot of productive activity, a lot of trading and business activities, go on, and that has been able to cascade to the rest of the country, and you could see that has galvanized economic activities across the country. So the Southeast is very integral to the development of this country, to the economic stability and survival of Nigeria. So to that extent, it is not just only the Southeast leaders and governors that should be interested in what happens in that region. All hands must be on deck to at least appeal to the aggrieved youths, aggrieved individuals in that region, to sheath their sword and allow peace to reign. But in going forward, I think Mr. President should also consider, granting some kind of presidential pardon to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is currently in Sokoto prison. Have a one-on-one discussion with him, get him out of prison so he can talk to his people. I remember the days of our legendary leader, Musa Yar'Adua, Umar Yar'Adua, who was former president of Nigeria, though late now. We saw his approach, how he was able to douse, the militancy in the Niger Delta by sending a presidential aircraft to the region to fly in militant leaders. He had a conversation with them. By the time the militant leaders returned, the warlords returned, there was calm in the region, and that is how many years now to this point. Now you have Tantita, managed by Tompolo, guaranteeing and working hard, to ensure that there is, there's safety and peace around oil installations. So that region has moved on. I think that approach, that strategic approach, is what the federal government can still borrow a leaf from and engage, leaders of whether IPOB, MASOB, or any other group that is taking up arms in that region. And of course, the issue of marginalization of the South is no longer there. We have the Minister of Works and Housing, very strategic portfolio, Umahi, former governor of Ebonyi State, who has been appointed. We have many of the governors from the Southeast. They've joined the ruling party, the APC, and all of that. So a whole lot is happening in that region. That also has to cascade and be galvanized to ensure peace. So our hands has to be on deck.
Absolutely. And as much as the governors, try to, give a sense or a veneer of the Southeast sit at home being tackled sufficiently, if it keeps coming through, that means that there are still some huge parts of the sit at home in some parts of the Southeast. And, we just must not play the ostrich where these things are concerned. We must thank you very much, Mr. Ikuakeria, for coming on the newspaper review segment. As always, it's been a pleasure having you, and we look forward to our next gig, same time next week.
Sure. We will be celebrating at the end of the march today. Thank you very much, Bukola. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, a big amen to that. Mr. Ikuakeria, by the way, is a member of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. So we'll take a moment now and we'll begin the very first conversation this morning, and which borders on medical negligence following concerns over the weekend. But before we take that on, we will begin with politics in Abia State. So stay with us, we'll be right back.
Welcome back. So there's a conversation that is ongoing in Abia State as to what exactly the governor of Abia State is doing with the people's money. Well, he's been praised by in some quarters as a transformative leader, comparing his record to other leaders that have gone ahead of leading that state before him. But it looks like politics has resumed now. Former governors, including Senator Orji Kalu, has said, look, some of the work the government of Sir Alex Otti is taking on is just painting the roads and some of the things I've done. And they are questioning how he's spending the money. Well, the governor has been pushing back. So there's been this back and forth as to exactly how the governor is performing. Now, the politics here is that they want him out of office in 2027 because the APC leaders in the state, including Ben Kalu, who is the deputy speaker, or Diozo Kalu, who is a member of the Senate. I think Theodore G and several others are gearing up to say the APC has to take Abia. Will that happen? So let's talk about the work that has been done and the debate around the projects being carried out by the government of Alex Otti. Joining us on the program is Ferdinand Ekoma, is the essay on media and publicity to the Abia State Governor. Thank you for coming on the program. Also, Sir Don Ubani, former Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Abia State. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Let me start with you, Mr. Ubani. I saw a list of almost 20 things that were released by the group challenging the record of the Abia State Governor, from smart schools to project to questions around legacy project. There are so many things, but maybe let me give you the opportunity to tell us exactly what exactly is going on. A lot of people have praised Alex Otti in terms of road, in terms of, I think, electricity. Some of that project is done. Is people always praising. We see even content creators praising him. But it looks like the political class is saying, look, guys, what you're seeing is not exactly what it is. So what is it that people are not seeing that you're highlighting here?
Thank you very much. Let me start by making it very clear that I am an E-registered member of APC. And so I speak for now in the capacity of a duly registered member of APC in Abia State. And again, to state in also very clear manner that I am an indigene of Okwa West local government area of Abia State, the only oil-producing local government area of Abia State for now. Other places of oil and gas could be discovered in other areas, or where you have capped oils, they could be uncapped. But for now, Okwa West local government area is the only oil-producing local government area in Abia State. I want to state categorically clear that so far nothing substantial has happened in Okwa West, the only oil-producing local government area. When the governor campaigned in 2022, he promised my people, that is the people of Okwa West, we are known as a people, administratively we are Okwa West. He promised us he was going to relocate the Asopadek headquarters. Asopadek is Abia State Oil Producing Area Development Commission. That he was going to relocate that commission from Omahia to Okwa West in 6 months after his emergence as governor. But I want to tell you that up till now, the governor has not done anything about it. And on many occasions that our people have raised the issue, he has completely ignored our people. Again, I want to say that the governor in his local government, ancestral local government area, has done up about or more than 20 roads in Anuchuku, but none has been done in Okwa West. Again, I want to say that democracy in Abia State is in the deed, as the famous writer Buchi Emeta would like to put it. I say democracy is in the deed because there are 3 tiers of government that should constitute the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And each is supposed to be autonomous, running their faith according to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. But I want to tell you, with pains, with tears, that nothing like that is happening in other states. The local governments have been hijacked. Their funds don't get to the councils. That's why as we speak now, the court in Atobe, the High Court at Atobe, has become overgrown with wigs to the extent that workers in the court have threatened to ask for relocation again to Abia. When it was relocated to Abia, it was because of roads. But now it is going to be relocated if nothing is done, because the council has no money to clear the wigs around the court. This is the governor that knows that constitutionally speaking, the position of permanent secretaries are political. And these are things that should reflect a federal or state character.
If you can hear me, let me take the question now to Mr. Ekoma. If you can hear me, Mr. Bani. Mr. Ekoma, you speak for the government. It's mentioned issues around failed promises, poor infrastructure, lack of democracy in the sense democracy should be. And I have a long list of things the group listed as what they're asking questions over. And I think they are legitimate questions if you provide some answers. In addition to responding to him, let me read some of the things they highlighted. No identified standard smart school in the state years after expending about 82 billion naira. No physical evidence of a 6.7 billion naira and 3.4 billion naira spent on ICT center and agricultural seedlings, respectively. Let me just move on to other ones. There's this award of another 4-kilometer road project within an urban area for more than 40 billion naira, relocating of Abia government house to Isi-Alangwa, while allegedly spending government funds to maintain his private residence after nearly 3 years in office, and more than 1.4 trillion spent by Governor Oti. If you can remember all of this, if you forget, I'll remind you. But in addition to what Mr. Obani has said, how do you respond to some of these things that they've raised?
Thank you once again for having me on the show. Permit me to start this discussion with what I consider two legendary quotes. One from late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and he did say, "Whenever I'm doing anything, I'm always with my facts. People may accuse me, but cannot accuse my facts," quote and unquote. And then let Dr. Williams Wilberforce Malachi Chimuba Okadigo, the year for you, the former Senate president. He said, and I quote, "Those who air their views without making reference to specific empirical data should rather be pitied than hated," unquote. Mr. Obani just reeled out what could best be described as a hokum. Because when you bundle figures and the rest of them, you need to provide the necessary documentary evidence to back them up. The facts on ground clearly show, and like you pointed out, what people say, and that is not what we say, what Abians say, and what they see, what they feel, is that Abia is being transformed with speed and sincerity. With due respect to Mr. Don Obani, the picture you're showing that of Port Harcourt Road. Port Harcourt Road was in a state of absolute decay, absolute deterioration for more than 25 years. They collected money, the road was never built, people's houses were demolished, compensations were never paid. Governor Alex Oti came and used Julius Berger to fix the road in record time. Don Obani was part of the former government. He has been in every government from 1999 to date. And he was here. You could see he was talking about his local government. He's not talking about Abia. And he's not interested in Abia. That is the truth. He's a clannish person, not interested. And Governor Alex Oti does not operate from that dimension. He's the governor of Abia State, and the transformation is being seen and felt in every part of Abia. For example, his Ukwa West that he mentioned had been in darkness for over 5 years. It was just 2 weeks ago that power was switched on after Governor Alex Oti completely rebuilt the power infrastructure there. And for 5 years, more than 5 years, there was no light. That is Ukwa West. As we speak, there are many ongoing road projects in Ukwa, the same Ukwa West. The Abia Strait Industrial and Innovation Park is being built at Owasa in the same Ukwa West. Over 1,000 people, landowners, have been paid compensation. The road leading to the place is being built by the same governor. He's trying to demonize and misrepresent. Before Governor Alex Oti assumed office, what I talk is facts and figures that are very verifiable. And you are a reputable media organization. You can send your team to come to Abia and do independent investigation to confirm the authenticity or otherwise of what I'm talking about here. On assumption of office, Governor Alex Oti inherited several months and years of salary, pension, and gratuity arrears. An institution like then Abia Poly, now renamed Oboneonu Polytechnic by Governor Alex Oti, staff were being owed 34 months salary arrears. The hospital management board were being owed 12 months salary arrears. AFCON, that is Abia State University Teaching Hospital staff, were being owed 15 months salary arrears. They were on strike for several months. They just called off the strike a week before Governor Alexoti's inauguration, when he met with them, appealed with them, and they said they trust him because of his antecedents, his capacity, his character, and everything, his integrity, that they would adhere and call off the strike. And they did call off the strike. And since then, the governor has kept to every single promise he made to, to those people. Then Abia State University, Utru, were being owed 11 months salary arrears. This is verifiable. Come here, do your own independent investigation, and come back and confirm or otherwise, the truth or otherwise of what I'm saying. The Abia State College of Education Technical Arochukwu were being owed 27 months salary arrears. My brother, the fact is that Governor Alexoti has cleared all these arrears in record time. All these arrears. The staff of Abia Poly, now going on Polytechnic, they were sacked by the government he's serving.
All right.
Have all been paid the arrears. They were being owed them before they were sacked. The same government that employed sacked them.
All right.
So when you come to Abia, now I've mentioned Port Harcourt Road. There is a place called Ohanku Road. They also collected money.
Mr. Kioma.
That was where Governor Alexoti, the Honorable Minister for Works in Dadev Rumaya, who represented His Excellency,
Mr. Kioma,
distinguished Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, visited, saw the reactions of the people there.
Mr. Kioma, pardon me, let me quickly come in there. Let me quickly come in there. You have done well to, respond to a lot of the concerns raised by Mr. Obani. But there's one that I want you to quickly address in 30 seconds before I go to Mr. Obani. We will return to the 20-point list and touch on other areas raised by the group of former governors. But there is one that is specific, which is, there are threats to take Governor Alex Oti to court for running Abia from Isi Alaungwa instead of from Umuahia, the government house. I'd like you to really address that one, if you can do that in 30 seconds. Okay,
so we have a government house that was in a state of dilapidation. Now Governor Alex Oti has rebuilt the banquet hall, rebuilt Okpara Auditorium. He holds meetings here regularly, but he operates from his house, and there is nothing wrong with that. So they can go to court. We meet them in court. If they had not left the local government and the government, in that state of dilapidation, that you're a governor does not mean that you now operate where pigs should be reared. No. The governor is more interested in creating the enabling environment where workers will operate, not his own comfort. He had a comfortable home before becoming a governor. He comes to a banquet hall, the Meko, all these places have been rebuilt, but they are meant for the people, for the civil servants, for the other appointees of government to occupy. Meanwhile, massive work is ongoing in the same government house. It's been built by the governor. The governor's lodge and the governor's premise and the rest of them offices are being built by the same government. So when they say the governor is not operating from government house, I do not know what they mean.
All right.
Must the governor come and live in his home before he be convinced that he's operating from government house?
All right, we'll come back to you shortly. Let me come to you, Mr. Obani. One of the things that Senator Ojus Okalo has been quoted as saying is that Governor Oti has received in 4 months what he did not get as governor in 8 years when he was governor of Abia State. Now, some of the questions that Abians are asking is, what was the value of the Naira between 1999 and 2007 when Senator Ojus Okalo was governor of Abia State? And isn't his claim tantamount to exaggeration and makes, the argument of a group of former governors against Governor Oti tantamount to, politicking?
Okay, I should respond to that?
Yes, indeed, Mr. Obani, that's for you.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I'm happy you are making reference to what our people are saying. Nigerians, Abians are saying.
That's for Mr. Obani. That's for Mr. Obani.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yes, thank you very much. As a matter of fact, the enormity of financial flow that comes to Abia State is unprecedented, courtesy of the wisdom and generosity of Mr. President Bola Tinubu, GCFR. The 3 governors that met last Friday only raised issues of concern to Abia State in terms of governance. Take, for instance, a lot of claims have been made on the website of Abia State government, making claims that are preposterous. We have been told, and of course it is clearly stated, reported on Abia State government website, that 51 schools were built, which 51 smart schools were built at the cost of 61 billion naira. And Abians are asking, where are these schools? No place has so far been seen where the smart school was built. Abia State people want to know the recreational hall that we were told has been built at a very high cost, about 2.something billion. Where is it? ICT hall that was said to have been built. These are on their financial reports, quarterly reports, none to be seen. And we are saying that governance that lacks transparency does not in any way add up. We want our money to be used appropriately. There should be commensurate application of funds that flows from the federal government. As we speak today, the type of taxation that other people have been subjected is unprecedented. It has never been heard of in the history of Abia State. Most of the business premises in Aba and Omai are under lock and key because of the government's insensitivity to the plight of the people. Property rates are very high. Ordinary KK people that paid about 200 naira in the past are now subjected to paying 500 naira. And there is a very strong indication that the government wants to increase it to 1,000 naira. So a lot of money comes in. And what the government does is only retrofitting. The Port Harcourt Road he talks of, 40% of it had been completed by OKZ administration. And you cannot dismiss. Government is a continuum. You don't come out to the public to say that the other three governors that worked before you did not do anything. Otherwise, we wouldn't have Ojos Okalo Bridge at Aba. There was free education under Ojos Okalo. And you are talking of seeing nothing, having inherited nothing. You cannot
what the points are.
Island yourself. So,
right, Mr. Bani, if you can hear me,
there should be transparency in application of funds.
All right, just to reiterate and be clear on what the issues are for the people of Abia State and even Nigerians listening, are you saying that he hasn't done anything, or you're saying that he has done some, but he hasn't done enough, particularly for your own local government, which you've reiterated time and again? Because I remember earlier on, you said he has done about 20 roads in Arochukwu. So what exactly is the grouse here, Mr. Bani, if you can hear me? Is it that he's doing something, but he's not doing enough? Or...
I am coming. I address that issue. I started with my local government because charity begins at home. My local government fund meant for Okawe should be allowed to... the local government should have access to it. As we speak, no local government council in Abia State has access to its fund, and it is undemocratic. It is not helping matters. That is why there is a lot of poverty in the rural areas, because the local government chairmen are badly handicapped. They don't have access to the fund meant for them. Highest each of them is given is about 7 million, and that takes care of their security and even other allowances. So what we are saying in effect is that the governor has not done things commensurate with the money that comes in. A lot of money comes in, and there's a lot of media hype. You know, propaganda is the issue, is what the government falls back to. Otherwise, why should you talk of smart schools when there is none? Why should you talk of...
Obani, it sounds like you're admitting that the governor has done a lot, but you're saying charity begins at home, and from where you sit, you don't see him doing a lot. So let's take this to Mr. Ekeoma quickly to respond to some of the points you have made, because it looks like that's where the shoe is pinching you. So, Mr. Ekeoma, he has come out to speak to those things, and he's talked about local government funding as well. What say you to these things?
Now, I've been given the floor, sir. I've been given the floor to respond.
Okay, go.
You know, when he started, he indicted himself by mentioning that the governor had built over 20 roads in his ancestral home.
In ancestral.
The governor is transforming every part of Abia State. The governor is urban. He's civilized. He's not a mediocre. He's not a clannish person. He's not a tribalist. So, I have the floor, sir. Okay, yes, so it's also important that I respond to the issue of smart school. If you come to Abia, there is massive work ongoing in the smart schools. Their problem is the inability to understand budget performance reports. If the government says we have spent 1 naira, we have spent 6,000, it is from the audited annual account, but that you would know what the government has spent or not. Alleging what does not exist cannot add substance to your claims. Okay, so the people know that the governor is performing very well. Just last year, the general manager of the State Environmental Protection Agency, ASEPA, and the DG, Greater Abia Development Authority, we have invited to Egypt by U.S. Habitat to come and tell the story of Abia. The Abia that was rated as the dirtiest state, Abia that was rated as the dirtiest city, is one of the cleanest today. Come to Abia and see for yourself. So when they see people, content creators, or people talking in the media, they think we are sponsoring them. No, these are people who knew the situation in Abia, and they can see the massive difference, the complete transformation, and they are doing this thing, pro bono. And you think we are paying them? We're not paying anybody to go and be projecting the state.
All right.
In the area of infrastructure, that you showed a bridge, they called the Menukor Bridge, that was abandoned for more than 30 years, and that led to that saying that there is no easy route to Arochukwu. That history, that saying has been erased because Governor Lexotti ensured that this was built in record time. And like I said, my senior friend have been in every government singing praises, defending mediocrity. But the same person is now condemning the transformation that is happening because nobody has invited him to the table. Of course, nobody will invite him because what we are doing is serving the people. Now you look at education, for example. On assumption of office, other teachers will be owed several months of salary arrears. They introduced what they called core and non-core civil servants. Okay? So most of the teachers deserted the classrooms. Governor Lesotho came and started a new dimension, which led to recruitment of over 5,000 teachers. And now there is an ongoing recruitment of extra 4,000, making it 9,000 plus.
All right, Mr. Ekoma, let's take it back to Mr. Bani, if you will.
Have been paid regularly. They,
yes.
resume to work.
Mr. Ekoma, let me just, in 1 minute, 2 things they raised. I know Bukola had asked that question, but I don't know whether you responded or I missed it. One had to do with the smart schools. 84 billion allegedly spent. How many smart schools are standing right now in Abia State? That's question 1. Question 2, they're saying that Abia is one of the least in terms of payment, minimum wage. How much is Abia State paying as minimum wage? If you could just respond, then I'll take it to Mr. Bani.
Okay, so we are paying the standard provided, the 70,000. It depends on you have health workers, you have but of course the standard is the 70,000. Okay, and now we pay regularly. Every single worker or pensioner in Abia is paid on or before the 28th of every month. So when they say we don't make, we're not running a government of 419 where people will come to the media and make claims they will never keep. Here you come and do your investigation and confirm.
Tell us about the smart schools. The smart schools, quickly, sir.
No, the smart school. They are ongoing projects, and I can show you pictures. I can bring the pictures and videos and show you, or you can call your people here to go and visit the ongoing constructions in the smart school.
How many smart schools? How many smart schools?
They are mentioning. It's ridiculous. It doesn't exist. There is nothing like that.
Okay, so just hold on.
There's nothing like that.
Hello, sir. Mr. Ekoma, so facts, because I want to put it on Mr. Bani. They are claiming 82 billion. How much is actually budgeted for? How many are these smart schools? I just need the facts, not just the facts.
Okay, so I do not have the figures offhand, so let me not say what I'm not very sure of. But I can tell you what they are claiming is false, and let them bring any document to substantiate that
so you don't,
it is false.
you don't
Like I said, they misconstrue the budget performance report and come here
let me
to
take you
feed
to
the
Mr.
people with
Obani.
lies.
Mr.
There's nothing like that.
But I needed you, if you don't know the figure of how much is being spent, at least you should know the number of smart schools. You didn't give me that figure. Is this something you have?
You mean? Okay.
How many smart
so
schools? How many?
You mean that are ongoing, the construction that is ongoing?
Yes, that's what I mean, yes.
I know about 7 of them.
Okay.
At the moment.
Let me take it to Mr. Obani. Let me bring you in. They say you served literally in every government, and because you want something, that's why you're not going to be invited to the table. But we've seen some projects. Abia, for instance, used to be an eyesore, and if you've been through all the government, that means you were part of the government that created that eyesore. Alex Otif right now is being credited for giving Abia a bit of a facelift. Isn't that something you want to credit him for? Or are there other things? Because I'm asking the questions around the facts. So on the issue of the smart schools, now he said about 7 smart schools from his record. And the record that you guys are putting out at 82 billion doesn't exist. I'd like you to respond to that, as well as the issue of the facelift in Abia, for instance, which is like the gateway into Abia State.
To start with, a government runs a website, and on that website, it reports what it has done. There's a difference between a budget proposal and projects accomplished. In their report, in some of their quarterly reports, it was specifically mentioned that a given amount of money running into billions was spent on smart schools. And Abians decided to ask, where are these smart schools? They mentioned one in my place, Ubuso Central Primary School. I personally went there. I saw none. At this Ubuso where they mentioned about 2 schools. Some people went there and captured it on video. There was nothing like that. So this is government by falsehood, government by deceit. Now, as regards my being involved in many governments, yes, if you have the transparency, if you have the competence, if you have the passion, nothing prevents a governor from asking you to serve. And I served very creditably without any dent, apart from the vindictiveness of the present governor. I have never had any problem in government. Now, as regards the cleanliness of Abia, government is a continuum. The present government inherited what we now call Homeland Security. It is a ministry created by Okezi Ikpeazu. And it is also good to remind him that throughout the 8 years Okezi Ikpeazu served as governor, there was no armed robbery in any bank in Abia State. It was because security was top-notch. And of course, this security issue was started by former Governor Ojo Kalu and sustained by Governor D.A. Oji. So when you come into government, you start from where the last person stopped. You don't go about giving everybody a bad name. After all, the governor himself was in Diamond Bank, and no sooner had he left Diamond Bank than Diamond Bank collapsed. So nobody will claim he is a saint.
So you admit, Mr. Obani, just hold on. So you admit that he has actually done something to give Abia a facelift. You admit that, right?
No. Why should he not do that? With all the money that comes in, at what cost are those things done? Right. That is what others are asking.
All right.
If you did Port Harcourt Road was done 40%, including drainages and so on. And the money used to do Port Harcourt Road, of course, came from the enterprise of former Governor Okezi Ikpeazu. So government is a continuum. You start from where the other person stopped. You don't come about claiming that every person that had governed before you is a rogue.
Mr. Obani, I hope you also admit that the decadence that is being addressed that was also created by past administrations. And some of the questions that Abians are asking, I'm very particular about what Abians are saying, is that he who must come to equity must come with clean hands, that the former governor himself had been tried and convicted in the past and shouldn't be, challenging the current government on issues of transparency and accountability because it doesn't have the moral right to do so. But let me come to Mr. Ferdinand now. There's some other questions on the 20-point list of the group of former governors, which I'd like you to address. Where is the Abia modular refinery located outside of social media? I'd like you to address that. And there are also others coming through from the list. The governor is quick to abort the laudable private sector-driven Eyimba Economic City, has spent billions of taxpayers' money on a non-existent Abia industrial park of thick forest. And then there's also one more. I hope you can remember all of that. Manifest nepotism with petitioning of development appointments and promotion within the public service. If you can do that in 60 seconds.
Thank you very much. Where the AI...
The question is for me. I thought the question is for me.
It's for me now. It's for me.
The question is for you.
Where the
Mr.
AI...
Mr. Kioma, the question is for you.
Okay, so we have never claimed we built any modular refinery. The government, in partnership with the private sector, the process is on, and it is at its place at Owasa. We have never claimed we built any modular refinery, never, not even for once. We don't make false claims. Now, the Eyimba Economic City is also a health. You acquired people's lands by force without paying a dime in compensation. The people revolted, no single structure was put there. So when they say we are not continuing, should we continue with deceit? Should we continue with violence against the people? We don't do that. We have a process. We are a responsible government. Before we step into anywhere, we pay compensation and start that process. So what fantastic work is going at the AIP, the Abia State Industrial Innovation Park. That is a fact. No. And we can go there and show you. Then let me point out things concerning the former two governors. I intentionally do not want to discuss them. You remember 1999, of course, you're talking about what the dollar is good. You try to also say what the people are saying. The former governor, I do not want to discuss him, but you remember that the former governor was convicted for alleged stealing of 7.56 billion. That conviction was not actually set aside. It was on technical ground that the judge had been promoted to appeal court and should not have presided over the matter. He should not have continued with the case. And in any case, the person that applied and secured that judgment at the Supreme Court, the appeal, was the co-accused, not even the former senator. So that is subject to review. So when you convert that amount, convert it to what the value of that money, then you will shout. What did they do? I expected when he was attacking the governor, I expected him to be making reference to the projects executed by him. Till today, our people still make reference to Dr. Samba, late Dr. Samba, because of what he achieved. He's not here. People still make reference to his projects. The government, Don Ubani served him, collected 22-point-something billion in Paris Club refund. The dollar was at the 369 naira then. If you convert it today, it will give you $16 million. $16 million, that's the value then. $60 million today is 90 billion naira. What did they do with it? They couldn't pay salaries, they couldn't pay pension. All these funds were diverted.
All right, Mr. Koma, we're totally out of time. My apologies, gentlemen. Apparently, this is not over yet. We're getting into the thick of the political season, so it's going to be a question of what you've done against what I have done, not just filibustering in that sense. But almost thank you, gentlemen. Ferdinand Ekoma, essay on media and publicity to the Abia State Governor, as well as Don Ubani, the former Commissioner for Information and Strategy in Abia State. Gentlemen, thank you. We appreciate you and wish Abia the best. We'll take a break. When we come back, yesterday we talked about medical negligence, piggyback on what happened to Chimamanda and the family with their son. But today we're looking at the legal angle to it. Join us in just a moment.
Welcome back. It's still the morning brief right here on Channels Television. And we're continuing with our conversation on medical negligence, of course, engendered and brought to the fore following the very tragic death of the son of renowned author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And today we want to look at the legal aspect or implications, if you like, of this particular event, which has also elicited conversations from others who have experienced similar fate at the hands of some medical practitioners. And so joining us on this particular segment, we have Mr. Dayo Famsville. He is the chairman, Nigeria Bar Association, SBL Committee on Health. He joins us virtually on the program. Good morning, Mr. Famsville. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning. And by way of correction, my name is Mr. Dayo Adu of Morum Africa. And I'm here in my capacity as a legal practitioner, although I also double as the chairman of the MBA section of Business Law Committee on Healthcare and Pharmacy, just to make that clarification. Okay,
Mr. Dayo, thank you so much for the correction, and pardon me, please. And so, as we begin, help us understand what would be the legal intervention should this case go to the MDCN, that is the body that it has the mandate to prosecute cases of medical negligence brought to it. What should be expected, and what should be the legal implication that will come through as a result of it?
So we take it from the context of whether a petition has been filed with the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. My understanding is that a petition is not, as of today, is that a petition is not before the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. But let's assume that there's a petition. Under the assumption that there's a petition, the first step would be that the doctor or the respondent in this instance will be given an opportunity to respond to the complaints. They have a constitutional right to fair hearing, so they must be able to make their representation as well. Should a prima facie case be established, then they would be, the matter would then proceed to the Medical and Dental Council Tribunal. And the Medical and Dental Council Tribunal has, their status is equivalent to that of a high court. So whatever decisions emanate from that is, in the eye of the law, is seen as a decision of the high court. So whatever remedy flows from there as well will be to the Court of Appeal, should the matter be decided, perhaps in favor or against, as the case may be. So a complaint is currently not before the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. But notwithstanding, when you look at the MDCN laws, there is actually nowhere in the law where it says that you must bring a petition. I read that law thoroughly. There is actually nowhere. So even the MDCN suo motu about their own volition, due to the nature of this matter, the level of public interest that this matter has generated, can also investigate this matter should there be any, because the law is silent on the procedure as well.
Well, now this has raised other issues because you have people now coming out to say, well, I had similar experience. In fact, I'm still affected till date. So when you see the thread, it's almost like something that is consistent, and there's really been no punitive actions taken. Well, before that, proper investigation, right? Maybe a petition put forward, investigation, and punitive actions taken if they are deemed fit. So I want you to speak to the culture first, because for some people this may seem alien. They say, no, don't worry, it's an act of God. Just forgive and forget, let it slide. These things happen. It can happen to anyone, right? If it had swung the other way, you wouldn't have said anything. So really, what is the culture in Nigeria about petitions like this, following things like this through and getting justice? Is it a thing, or it's basically swimming against the tide?
Yeah, I think we need that cultural sensitization. It's clear that we need that cultural sensitization. And the guilty, the patients as well. It's very important that they're enlightened about their rights. I also think there's a gap when it comes to medical legal training as well, continuing medical education, perhaps in collaboration with lawyers or legal bodies as well, would help doctors to be much more informed as well as to their duties. Not to say they do not take courses in medical school around medical legal concerns, but we need that continuous medical education for doctors. For patients, it's also about them understanding their rights and understanding that the standard of care that is expected of the standard of care that they deserve and that is their rights must be strictly adhered to. I am a bit, I've been seeing all those threads as well on social media, and I think that the medical profession in itself, they probably need to look internally and look at themselves, look at the mirror as well. We know that funding is inadequate. We know staffing in hospitals are not what it should be. We're all aware of what is happening with the Japa syndrome. In some cases, maybe very few cases, we have a few specialists that are now looking back and coming back to Nigeria to set up specialized practices to attend to the needs of patients. But a lot still needs to be done, especially from the point of ensuring that hospitals meet the standard set by the regulatory agencies. In this case, as in Lagos, for instance, FMR. And perhaps we should probably even also, I know there's a pending bill before the National Assembly that's called second reading. It's on the National Health Facility Regulation, National Health Facility Regulation. And that bill has passed second reading. It's going to public hearing stage. And I would expect that there should be a lot of sensitization. Because if we have national standards in place, then it just goes to say that every state in the federation would try to fall in line with that. As we speak today, only 2 states in Nigeria have any form of facility monitoring agency, and that's Lagos State and Yobe State. So you can imagine that states do not have a compliance mechanism to monitor health facilities. Almost 90% of states do not have that. Although typically in some cases, in most cases, what we have is a situation where the state Ministry of Health have that responsibility to ensure that compliance is the standard of compliance by the hospitals and these health facilities are standard enough. However, it is not enough in this day and age that we do not have a facility accreditation monitoring agency across all states and even at the national level. But I imagine that second reading, that's progress. I imagine that within a few months, we'll probably get this over the line. But the public hearing stage of this is very critical in ensuring that we have a robust legislation that would eventually set the standard across. For patients' rights, I think we need to also have that enlightenment in place where patients need to know that if they are not satisfied, they should also do their own findings as well. That's one of the things. I don't think anybody is insulated from the issue of care. When you are getting good care, I think to an extent you would know as a patient. And if you feel something is off, you need to speak up and ensure that your complaint is also registered. The hospital or the doctors have the duty to keep proper records as well. So it is very important that you speak up, that you understand the treatment plan that the doctors have set out, that you understand and do your own research, because ultimately it's your life that the protocols in place. But and where there's a need, get second opinions, get third opinions. You just have to be enlightened, self-enlightenment, and also ensuring that you exercise your rights to get opinions from other experts as well.
All right, Mr. Dyer. So let's talk about some of the acts that are in the country that I don't know whether it's been applied. So you mentioned something quite fundamental, and that has to do with, as a matter of fact, ignorance and desperation makes us vulnerable when we find ourselves in those health situations. You just want to get treated. You just want to stay alive. So talk to us beyond this particular case. I want to use the opportunity that we have you here who has that background and understands the things around medical practice as a lawyer. Because we're still hearing complaints sometimes about people not being treated, but the hospitals asking for maybe deposit or monies and all of that. What does the law say as at today? If you walk into a hospital and these kind of things happen, how does the law protect you and also protect the health institution who are also businesses in that sense?
Yeah, so we have the national health legislation. There's a National Health Act that states that 1% of funds in the consolidated revenue account must be set aside in a basic health fund. And once these monies are set aside, they are supposed to be deployed. We also have a National Emergency Act as well, where for whatever reason, where there is any accident at any point in time and a patient is rushed to the hospital is expected to commence treatment without hesitation, and they can then claim back their fees from the national, from the basic fund that is set aside by the Ministry of Health. That's a national legislation. It's not a state legislation. What I would expect is that other states try to also have such policies in place, because we are not even sure whether these monies have been remitted to that fund, and we are not even sure. I'm sure private practitioners too are not even enlightened. Private health experts are not even enlightened as to whether the process or the guidelines to access these funds as well. So you will struggle. I've done my own little survey and analysis, and you will struggle to find medical health facilities or practitioners that have been able to access that fund. So the law is there. The guidelines are also there. However, in practice, we are in the dark as to whether these funds are accessible to private health practitioners or otherwise. So you might see a situation where there's an emergency and they are rushed to the hospital, and government hospitals, I know, would definitely attend to patients in dire need. But private health facilities, they'll be concerned about their costs, and that should not be the case. So we need to simplify that access to that fund. There has to be clarity around it. The guidelines must be clear, and health facilities must be well informed about how they can access that fund. States as well, state governments are also expected to probably adopt a similar mechanism and try to ensure that they have a similar legislation or guidelines, as the case may be, so that private health facilities can also enjoy that patronage, and they will not have to depend on the federal boss for that purpose.
So I'm particular about, what patients often say in cases that turn awry and go to the MDCN, and what comes through is, sanctions that are mere slap on the wrist for, in this case, the erring medical practitioner. And so I just checked and saw that the MDCN does not have prosecutorial powers. So in such cases, what options are open to a patient who has perhaps lost a limb or has, had their life altered, and the recommendations from the MDCN is not, addressing the subject, in this case, justice has not been seen to be done. So what options are open to such patients?
Yeah, so the MDCN they are essentially responsible for licensing doctors. And I think another thing is that the healthcare system should be taken holistically. We can't just narrow this down to just doctors. We have nurses, we have pharmacists as well, we have medical laboratory scientists as well, and they all have their respective councils as well. But speaking to the MBCN directly, there's a process, like I said, there must be a complaint, there must be fair hearing given to the respondent, and an investigation is carried out. And it's subject to that investigation, where a prima facie case is established, then the matter is moved to the tribunal. The tribunal has an equivalent jurisdiction like the high courts of states, and currently the tribunal is set up as well. There was a time the tribunal was not properly, was not even constituted, and you can imagine how matters relating to negligence would have just been held on. But now the tribunal is constituted. Once you get to the tribunal, essentially what the tribunal does is for discipline of doctors. Then when it now comes to issues of damages or issues of compensation, you have to approach the state high courts, which has jurisdiction on civil matters that pertain to patients' rights and so on. But in establishing medical negligence, the threshold is quite high. There are 4 elements that you must ensure that you are in a position to prove. There's a duty of care, which means that the hospital or the doctors or the medical team must ensure that they meet the expected standard of care to the patients. Then we have now what typically must be present as well is that you must be able to establish that there was that breach of duty of care. And the duty of care is expanded to the extent that the doctor must be skilled, the doctor must be diligent. So where there's a breach of that duty, then you have ticked 2 out of 4 elements. Then we have the causation. If, for instance, like in this case, sadly and regrettably, so the patient passes on, you must be able to establish that the breach of duty of care is what led to the outcome.
Yeah.
Very critical.
Indeed.
That causation element is the most critical. Then the damage. What was the damage that was done? Was it, okay, you lose a limb, you do this, but the breach of duty of care must be clearly established for you. And it's a situation where you have 2 out of 4. It's 4 over 4. All the elements must be present for you to be able to establish your case.
It appears a very tightrope indeed, and more than ever before, more than anything else, perhaps it's more important to stay alive than even approach that tightrope. We must anchor the conversation at this point, and thank you very much. Mr. Dayo Adu is the chairman, NBA SPL Committee on Health. Thank you for bringing your expertise.
I'm here in my capacity as a legal practitioner, not in my capacity as chairman.
Indeed, indeed, you've established that time and again, but both are true of your experience. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. And when we return from this break, it will be time to talk sports. Are you ready for our next encounter with Morocco? We'll have Puja joining us to bring us up to speed with what is going on in the camp and, of course, talk about all the possibilities. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
No, this is a big game, semi-final. We played our last game against Algeria. It was a good game for us. Now, a big game against a big team. So, we will enter slowly in this game because we have a last training session today. And we will be ready for tomorrow. When I took this job, the reality, I was a fan of this national team since
for Nigeria's coach, Eric Shell, but he also spoke about his tactics. But let's speak to what we expect today on the pitch. It's a big night for us as a football-loving country, and we're joined by Puja. I just stick to that short form. Good morning, Puja. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Good to have you. I don't know if you saw us coming this far. I know I asked that you predict final, so maybe you did see us. But let's tie it to what Eric Shell just said about training, how Nigeria would approach the game, coming into the game slow. Some have said that is mental tactics. Nobody should fall for that. But we've seen the trajectory of the Super Eagles. First Tunisia in the group stages, Algeria in the knockout stage, quarterfinal. Now, the hosts, Morocco. So it's like we have been destined to meet all North African countries, or majority of them. So do you see that thread and perhaps predict a win for Nigeria as well as we've done with Tunisia and Algeria?
Well, you can say that again, that we are facing a familiar territory in terms of North Africans. But, the physicality we tell on Super Eagles because they've had a long tournament. Remember, they went from Marrakesh to Fes on Monday and trained them. They have their recovery session on Sunday, and they had to travel by road for over 3 hours back to Rabat on Monday, and they had their training session on Monday as well, and yesterday as well. So they've had a longer time, and when they are training in Rabat, it's actually more than 30 minutes from their base in Rabat. So they've had a lot of physicality turning on their body. So we may not see the kind of tenacity or energy or aggressiveness we had against Algeria or Egypt or Tunisia. But I must confess that the boys are ready. We watched that training session yesterday, and of course, the regular intensity, the regular good training session. And this is the first time they were playing in Rabat. Remember, this the home of Morocco. But like you said, we've played two strong North African teams, and hopefully we know how to play them and then get one over Morocco later today.
But Puja, think about this. We're playing against the host nation. Now, if we tried this, it's almost like, again, we're destined to play host nations. And the last time with Côte d'Ivoire, we won the first match. Of course, they won us in the final. But the point is, we tried to defeat Côte d'Ivoire. Now, this is sub-Saharan Africa. But when you go to North Africa, football is different entirely. Fans come with laser to watch the match. They come with the loudest chants. It's quite different, right, in North Africa. So what will it be like playing against the host nation in a North African country when we know that football is extreme, Puja?
They hit football in North Africa, and for Morocco, I think today we are going to see over 50,000 Moroccans in that stadium. It's a capacity that is over 60,000, and I don't think we have Nigerians more than 10,000 in that stadium, or even fans from other countries. For Morocco, they breed football. This is the first time they're getting to the semi-final of an AFCON for over 3 editions, so they want to host and win. And for Nigeria, it's I won't say playing host will make us fail again. I think, like I said, because we played the North Africans who play similar football like Morocco, like Algeria, we could do one over Morocco, but the support will be huge today. Victor Osimhen was talking to CBS Sport later, yesterday. I was talking about everybody has played against inside the stadium of 80,000 capacity, 40,000 capacity, but this will be different. If you are playing for a club side, it's different from you are playing for your country. So the Super Eagles should expect hostility, they expect passion, they should expect a very hostile atmosphere. And like you said, the North African use lasers to distract players. So we are playing against the nation, we are playing against the 12th man, but with what we've done so far, keeping the clean sheet back-to-back against Mozambique and, of course, Algeria, I think the boys have lots to offer, and they like a conversation to win the AFCON for Nigerians.
Puja, let's talk about, you mentioned the psychology that we need to get into this game with, and talk about the temperament. There will be a lot of triggers as far as this is concerned. In fact, when you look at football feels to me like 90% psychology, 10% skill. where should our heads be in, beginning with Nwabali to the last person?
You know, so today, Victor Osimhen will be captain of the side. Remember, Wilfred Ndidi will be suspended because of 2 yellow cards. So we have Victor Osimhen as the captain of the side. So the temperament has to start from the captain. Victor Osimhen has to be calm this time around because we are playing a country with so much antics. We saw Algeria as well, you know, doing so much tactics. Like you said, psychology-wise, they want to win you before they win you on the pitch. So we have to be careful. Nwabali got a yellow card against Algeria. If he gets a yellow card against Morocco and we win, he will not play in the final. So everybody has to be on their right senses. And we saw, you know, Osimhen against Uganda, which of course was the captain. It was more like, you know, a daddy figure. So I don't think we see the kind of temperament we see from Osimhen if he's not a captain, because if the captain fails to, you know, connect with the players or, you know, be calm, it can get to the players. So we see Victor Osimhen as captain. We have, you know, we pray that Nwabali is calm as well. And of course, we have leaders in the team. Iwobi is the leader in the team. Kabibasi is the leader in the team. Ademola Lookman is the leader in the team. So, and of course, they played, you know, non-Africans several times as well. Like I said, against Algeria, they played calmly as well. In that stadium in Marrakesh, we had over 30,000, you know, Algerians. But this time it will be different. So hopefully, I know they will be doing lots of pep talk, you know, away from training sessions. So we have Victor Osimhen in that calm mode. Just go for us, leave the antics, leave the, you know, body language, leave the mentality, and just, you know, give us the go. So, like you said, the mentality, the psychology, we have to win it over Morocco because we are playing against a team who, you know, have the biggest fan even in Africa.
And we hope that the Super Eagles, you know, will surpass expectations, you know, on that counsel that you have offered. But Poja, talk to us about the equivalence of Victor Osimhen, Ademola Lookman, Alex Iwobi in the Moroccan team, and, you know, the tactics that the Super Eagles should deploy as they watch out for their equivalents in the Moroccan team.
Well, for Morocco, they have, you know, Brahim Diaz, who is currently the highest goal scorer in this tournament. He has scored in every game at this tournament, so he's a big threat. The only good thing for Nigeria is that we've kept clean sheets back to back. Before, you know, Mozambique game, you know, Nigerians were clamoring for, we always concede, even against Uganda. When Uganda was, you know, 10 men down, they still find a way to score us. So Nigerians were asking for clean sheets, you know, for us to be compact at the back. And we did that against Mozambique and Algeria. So, you know, the threat of Brahim Diaz could be actually, you know, bringing down to a brass minimum. They have the current African Footballer of the Year, Hakimi, who started playing in the third match, and he has been good as well. He's the captain of the side. He plays free kick. Their wing backs are actually the biggest strength for us. You know, Mazraoui from our United is there as well. They have a Kabi, who loves scoring bicycle kicks. So we have to be wary of that as well. So they have a lot of players. Unfortunately for them, their captain, the second vice captain, you know, Sainz is injured, so he will not be playing this game as well. So they have a bit of defect at the back. So if Ademola Lookman and, you know, the likes of Akwa Adams and Victor Moses take their chances, we can put them to cleaners. But they have good players as well. Like I said, Diaz is one of the best players right now at the tournament. They have Mazraoui, they have El Kabi, and they have, you know, Hakimi. So it looks like it's quality versus quality. At the end of the day, like you guys know, psychology, you know, works well for North African countries. They want to, you know, knock you off your mental before they defeat you. And hopefully the boys have learned their lesson from Algeria and, of course, Tunisia.
If you want to be the best, they say you have to beat the best. And that's what we're seeing play out. If they have players that can score bicycle kicks, we have players that can do that in the air, on the floor, wherever. So we're really matching firepower for firepower. I know the coach was asked what his plans are if this goes into penalties. And you can't forget too quickly the playoffs we had against, what's it called? Congo DR, and how we just faltered when it came to penalties. Well, he joked about it and said he will pray at the mosque and all of that, just try to wish it away. But do you see tonight's match going into penalties? Because you mentioned something interesting. They have a player that has scored in every match. And now we have a team that has tried to keep a clean sheet. So it's also, we're scoring, by the way. So it's almost like the forces balance each other. So do you see this going into penalties?
Well, it can, because if you look at what Eric just said, at the press conference, yesterday, he was talking about playing low blocks because of the physicality of the players. Like I said, the physicality have turned on the players. Iwobi came out to say, the travels will not affect them. That is not an excuse. And it's actually very crazy, past few days for them, went to Fez, traveled by road to Rabat, have to go for like 40 minutes for their training yesterday. So, the physicality, the travels will actually affect them, but we can't take, what is said at press conference. You know about mind games when it comes to matches like this. But if it gets to extra time, I think Eric Chell, we have to, he knows what because after the question, he laughed before he said he would go to the mosque to train. So I know that he will be training. Remember, we journalists just have 15 minutes mandated by CAF to cover their training session. So we didn't see the length of the training session, whether they trained or they didn't train for penalties. But of course, they will train for penalties, because if you play low blocks against Morocco, that means you'll be stretching the game to extra time like we did against Congo DR. So I know they must have trained over penalties. Remember, we got to extra time back-to-back in the World Cup qualifiers here in Morocco, and of course we play in Rabat in those qualifiers. So for Eric Chell, they are doing a lot. Yesterday we had a refreshing player coming to press conference in Wobi, who talked about the mentality in the team, and of course is one of the leaders of the team. So I think they've trained everything, because you don't take anything away from North Africans. They've trained everything from their own part as well. So as a Nigerian, we have to train from our part as well. But like you said, the psychology of this game is very huge. And yesterday the ticket was sold out. And remember, if the ticket is sold out for North African games, that means all their fans have bought the ticket. So the fans will be packed, and the players have to, use their sense in this time around.
All right, Pujas, we're going to wind down. Talk to us beyond the Super Eagles match. Talk to us about the competition itself. So for these semi-finals, we have 5 persons that have won African Player of the Year. In fact, amongst them, they have about 7. One, I think Salah and Sadio having 2 apiece, and then Lukman, Hakimi, and Osimhen. Does this speak to, is this the best we can produce? Does this speak to the fact that we were able to get the best to this point as far as African football is concerned?
Yes, you're right. Before the quarterfinal, all the top 5 teams in Africa got to the quarterfinals. The big teams got to the quarterfinal based on FIFA ranking. And this time around, these are the best 4 teams or 5 teams in Africa. And it comes from, you saw, like you said, African Footballer of the Year, floored both 4 teams. For Egypt and Senegal, it's a revenge of the 2021, final where Senegal won in Yaoundé against Egypt. So it's a fight. And we have 2 former Liverpool legends, I would say, Salah versus Sadio Mane. So it's a big match. Morocco as well. It's only Nigeria in this circle that failed to qualify for the World Cup. So it shows that the AFCON this time around is on a high level. And like I already said, if you want to win AFCON this time around, you don't play through shortcuts. You have to beat the big team from the quarterfinals down to the final. So it just shows that African football is coming of age. If you want to be a big team, you have to win big. There's no time for shortcut for all these average teams anymore. But like you said, from the quarterfinals, the top-ranked teams, 8 top-ranked teams, of course, qualify for the quarterfinal. And this time around, the 4 best teams in Africa, or the top 5 teams in the FIFA ranking are in the semi-final. So if you want to win the AFCON, you have to beat the big side in Africa.
Poja, just before we let you go, traditionally we would like you to give us a prediction. What do you think the goals will be like later tonight?
It's a tough game, very tough game. We'll be at the pitch side as well. We will close 30 meters to the players, so we are feeling the same kind of pressure as well. So I think Nigeria will win. Victor Osimhen will captain the side today, and anytime he has captained us, we have won games. So hopefully it comes with calmness, it comes with his leadership quality, and get goals for us. He's actually the second highest goal scorer with 4 goals, 2 assists. So hopefully we win, and I think we're going to concede. Wabali, of course, has kept 2 clean sheets back to back, but of course they have a player who has scored in every game. They have a Kabi, they have a Hakimi. So I think it will end in 2-1. Nigeria will win, qualify for the final, and eventually live to the AFCON.
All right.
Puja,
that's a narrow one.
I love that.
We'll
I love that.
it.
We'll take it. We'll take it because there's been lots of predictions as well by people. You have a big eye was saying Super Eagles don't get carried away, but stay united. Your opponent is Morocco, and one thing you need to understand is that it will never be easy facing the host nation. They have a big advantage. Play as a team, do the dirty work in the first half, and win it at full time. I want to maybe look into the future with you, Puja. I must say some people didn't give the Super Eagles a chance because we were coming off, the defeat to DRC, not qualifying for the World Cup. So expectations were really, really low or not there at all. Whichever way this swings, what do you think should be the future of Eric Schell and this current team? Do you think we have finally gotten the mix right and we should build on it, or we can do better?
Well, I think we should build on it because after AFCON, the AFCON qualifier for Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya will start. So we need that consistency. And we are talking about the money from Eric Schell. It's a huge lot of money per month. It's $50,000 for Eric Schell per month. So the National Sports Commission, the federal government, the NFL have to come together to decide if they want to continue to pay this amount of money for Eric Schell. And for the work Eric Schell have done, I think he has done well. So he took over since now. He has done well. His record was good. He did his 1-year anniversary just a few days ago, and the record was fantastic. We find a way to score goals. We find a way to win games, and we are doing extremely well at AFCON. So it now boils down to if you can pay salaries, I think it should continue, because after this AFCON, we have matches back-to-back for qualifying for the next AFCON, which is next year. It's just next year. So this year will be full of qualifiers, and we need that consistency, even if we fail to win AFCONs, because we've done extremely well so far at this AFCON. So if we can pay his salaries, I think it should stay, because we played a good football, attacking football that the whole, the nation is talking about under Eric Schell, and I think the players love him, and the chemistry is good. He should continue on the job.
You have to put that condition, but it's important if we can pay the salary. But Puja, we have to thank you so much. I know it's a big night for you. Wish you the best with the cold. I'm sure we'll get all the great insights, pictures from you. So here's to Nigeria winning that match. Thank you so much, Puja. I've been speaking with Suleiman Adebayo, sports journalist, joining us from Morocco ahead of tonight's semi-final match. Thank you, Puja.
Thank you.
Guys, I was just thinking about, something funny happened. Bukola, just as information, I remember those days when the Super Eagles used to play, we had people that had different assignments. In fact, we had a particular gentleman, I can't remember his name. If anybody is disturbing our player, we'll just put him to commit a foul, then the player will be out. So football is all psychology. It's a game. So, but let's tell you what you guys are saying. Dean Amin says, Nigeria 3-2. Nigeria 3, Tunisia 2. Nigeria 2, Algeria 0. Nigeria versus Morocco, they are on a mission to defeat North Africa.
Well, we have time enough just for this one from Harun Mustafa, who says, I believe Super Eagles will beat Morocco tomorrow. He goes on to say, they just need to beg Nwabali to stay within his post. Many of the Moroccan players can hit the ball from any range. So that's a very instructive one there too as well.
And for everybody who's going to be watching from home, take it easy, okay? It's football. It's not life or death, all right? Do not get too agitated. Relax. Enjoy it almost like a movie, all right? Because we don't want anything untoward happening. But here's the victory for Nigeria and the Super Eagles. And that's where we draw the curtains of the show today. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow when we win that match.
Amen to that. And let's just remind the Sports Commission about, Puja's counsel. Money is the lubricant for the commitment and the goals. We'll join you again tomorrow. I'm Bukola Koka.
Sunrise Daily is up at the top of the hour. If you can't take the pressure, walk into your kitchen and just be watching the highlights later.
Or walk out of the kitchen and go to sleep.
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.